Hello, my name is Nathan Timmons, and today I have 3 pieces prepared for you. The first is a monologue from Wild by Crystal Skillman, where I'll be portraying Peter. The second is another monologue from Home by Sam R. Williams, where I'll be portraying Cephas Miles. And the final one will be a song from Sideshow, where I'll be portraying Jake, and the song will be The Devil You Know. I don't know what to do after Misero. I go home. When I go home, I don't know what to tell them, you know? I'm pretty sure that they're going to fire me. Every time when I go into the North Conference room where they ring up Patty to fire the people on that fucking list, the waiting room where I set up the coffee, I overhear them talk about who they want to put on their firing lists. Just these names, knowing that they're going to fire me. And then next year I go into a new internship, and then I graduate, and I'm supposed to figure out what I want to do, Bobby. And I have no idea what I'm looking for. Now, I should have known something was wrong. People were laughing at me, saying that I was never going to get my $2 from old Chief. And I waited 2 weeks and no money. Every time I asked him about it, he would go ahead and start speaking Indian. Roshmito, Kawaii. No understand. Well, finally, I got tired of it. I saw him sleeping in front of the hardware store the other day, so I woke up to him and spoke real slow. Chief, I want my fucking money. Now I'm about to go to the back of this store and find me a brick. And when I come back, if my $2 ain't sitting across that bench, I'm going to smash into 1,000 pieces across your head. I'm not going to tell you you're making a mistake. Tell you not to go, no I won't. I'll just say what I've learned along my way. The devil you know beats the devil you don't. We don't live in the best of situations. We don't live very well. We don't live in the neighborhood of heaven. We live somewhere closer to hell. Now we have learned to work around the situation. Learn to hide when the heat has passed. You will learn the promise of salvation can mask another inferno's blast.
Hello, my name is Jarod Lewchuck, and this is my senior showcase presentation. I'll be performing 4 pieces for you today. The first is the song 3090 from the musical Tick, Tick, Boom, where I'll be playing Jonathan. The second is a monologue from the play 4,000 Miles, where I'll be playing Leo. The third is a monologue from the play Clown Bar, where I'll be playing Dusty. And the final piece is a monologue from the play Two Gentlemen of Verona, where I'll be playing Proteus. Thank you. They're singing happy birthday, you just wanna lay down and cry. Not just another birthday, it's 3090. Why can't you stay 29? Hell, you still feel like you're 22. Turn 30 in 1990, bang, you're dead. What can you do? What can you do? What can you do? So, what I don't have are these pictures from Wyoming. We took these stupid, corny timer shots on top of the Continental Divide. You know, in front of the sign that says the altitude and all that. There was still snow up there in June. I watched him catch a fish in Yellowstone with his bare hands. He stood real still and reached in and... I have this picture of him holding up a fish that's longer than his head and neck. Oh, and we dipped our back tires in the Pacific, too. That's another corny thing you're supposed to do, because then you're supposed to dip your front tire in the Atlantic when you get there. Which, coincidentally, I haven't done yet. I don't know why. But I got this video of him dipping his tire and pretending to fall off a rocket into the sea. he was a clown, you know? He was a gifted physical comedian. He could have done that for real. And then there are all the pictures of him I don't remember taking. And maybe losing those is worse than losing the ones I do. It took about 45 minutes to dig him out. And the funny thing was, he'd suffered no trauma to his head or neck. But he was buried under hundreds of pounds of weight, and he suffocated. So the part that everyone's pissed at me about is that after I filled out all the paperwork at the police station and got off the phone with his mom and my mom, I got back on my bike and kept riding. My cat died last week. 37 years old and died falling off the counter. I haven't buried her yet. I'm too sad about it. I just stuffed her in the freezer, and now every time I go to get a popsicle, I see her and I start crying again. On top of that, yesterday I was sitting on my couch and I noticed there was a tear in it. I should probably get some thread and stitch it up. It'll only get bigger if you don't do something about it. You know what they say, a stitch in time, something about stitches, but it applies universally to all ways of fastening things. Like, pull up your zipper now or you'll be cold later. Or take that antibiotic before you give it to someone else. Or go to rehab before you overdose on heroin or PCP or whatever. Or like take care of your mama. My mama's doing okay. You know, come to think of it, when I wasn't thinking about the cat or the couch, I was actually having a pretty good day. But then shotgun shot me in the foot. I'll probably get gangrene. I'm hoping the burlesque show might cheer me up later. Hey, what are you guys doing? Say that upon the altar of her beauty, you sacrifice your tears, your sighs, your heart. Write until your ink be dry, and then with your tears, moist it again and frame some feeling line which may discover such integrity. For Orpheus's lute was strung with poet's sinews, whose golden touch could soften steel and stone, make tigers tame, and huge leviathans forsake unsounded deeps to dance on sands. After your dire, lamenting elegies, visit by night your lady's chamber window with some sweet concert. To their instruments tune a deploring dump. The night's dead silence will well become such sweet, complaining grievance. This or else nothing will inherit her.
Hi everyone, I'm Carlynn. This is my website. Here is the homepage of my website, and it just talks about how I am a student at the University of West Georgia, graduating in May 2020. I have been participating in the Bachelor's of Arts program that they have, and I have worked as a stitcher, a costume designer, a makeup designer, and I've been able to do special effects makeup. I've learned some basic sewing skills, patterning, millinery skills, and a lot of other things that are displayed here on my website. So on my homepage, there are 3 different tabs that you can click on that are also located up here if you wanted an easier access to them. So we're going to go through some of my designs first, and it is, so here is my home design, and here I talk about the concept and how I really wanted to focus on how the colors brought the characters to life, because the 2 narrators of the story play all different sorts of roles through Cephas and his story. So I wanted to use color to help the audience and help the characters bring these characters to life on stage. And This is over here to the left, a half scale basic mock-up of a sheath that I had made for Patty Mae's dress, this one right here. And these are just some of the renderings from the show. I did renderings on Procreate for the show. And then I've got some process photos down here. We had pulled a lot for this show, and I actually covered a red hat with a lot of brown fabric for one of the characters. This is some of the corded piping I had made for Patty Mae's dress. And then the next one is Evil Dead. And here again, I talk about the concept and how we kind of wanted to keep it very campy, a lot like the movies. And so here's some production photos. And here we have my renderings. I did traditional rendering, and then I imported it into Photoshop for the background. And here I talked about some of the challenges with how to do the distressing and the blood for when the characters were demons versus human, and how to keep it more permanent to last through the runs of the show. And also these branches for the trees, they were quite difficult to figure out ways to adhere them to the morph suits, but we ended up getting it done and it looked pretty cool. And then here we have Mother Hicks. I had done, I had done hair and makeup design. This is where I got the chance to work in special effects, and I made a prosthetic cut that was rigged to bleed with the help of my mentor, Brad Darvis. So here's some of the process photos of the prosthetic. We started out with a molding clay and made a stone mold. And it was fully encapsulated with super balding made out of silicone rather than latex, because the actor was allergic to latex. And then I used some alcohol colors to give it a little bit more of a gross look. Punctured a hole at the top and used medical tape to tape a pipette full of blood at the top of her leg for her to squeeze it out when she had slashed her leg. And down here, I just kind of explain all of that. And then we have Much Ado About Nothing, which unfortunately was canceled before it was able to be realized, but I still wanted to include it on my website. So here I just talk about how it was canceled, and I talked about how we had a handful of design meetings and what we had discussed in the design meeting, and kind of about the concept and how we wanted it to feel very USO, set in the 1940s when the men came back from the war. And to keep it very feminine with the flowy skirts, and keep the women very beautiful, the men very pristine, a very nostalgic, reminiscent look back onto the 1940s. And I included my renderings in a slide right here. And then next we have my stitching work, and this is one of them that I worked on for She Kills Monsters. It was made out of a spandex and red China silk lining, and I had used the red China silk to make a corded piping to go in between the different panels of the skirt piece of this overcoat, and it was very difficult. It was the fabric had very little integrity to it, but with a little bit of help of my supervisor Nan, we were able to get it done and attach this blue piece and the appliques at the bottom and the leather around the arms, and it turned out to be a very beautiful piece. For Mother Hicks, I had worked on a beautiful bonnet that Mother Hicks wore. It was a simple bonnet pattern that I had used some quilting techniques in. And I also was able to hand sew a little flower together out of 3 different sizes of semicircles, and also make a couple of quilt pieces that went on the bottom of Mother Hicks's cape right here. Next, we have Scarlet Letter. for this show, we kind of did a little bit of draping and flat patterning and fabric origami to figure out the final patterns. So here is one of the mock-ups that I was working on for the men. And here's just a little slide of a little bit of a process of what we ended up with. Here we have Godspell. And for Godspell, I worked on this cute little overall skirt. I put some grommets in after I had attached the shoulder straps and put in some buttonholes for the side and used the grommet buttons as well. And I just kind of explained that in that paragraph. And I also went in and learned how to do a blind hem on this piece. So I went in and measured, I believe, 2 inches around and did a little blind hem and a press. And then this is what it came out to look like. And then another really cool thing that I was able to work on was our show Abigail 1702. I was able to work on a hat. I was able to make a copatain, I believe is how you pronounce it. I had patterned it out from a book of how to make hats from burlap and fabric, and patterned it out to fit the actor's head, had him come in and did a measurement of the first layer of the buckram. And then I had cut out all the 3 layers once it was fit for all of the different patterns, covered it in the fabric, put the wire in, and then put it all together. Finished it off with some ladder stitching around the edges, a little leather belt, some lining to tie in with the cape of the man in gray, and then finish it off with a silver buckle. And this was a really fun process. And over here is a contact tab, and I have my resume where you can either just read it right from this page, or you can view it in a Google Doc right here if you prefer, where you can download it or print. And then I've also got my portfolio uploaded here digitally as well, that you can also click and go into a Google Drive, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to show you on here. Some of my flat patterning that I've worked on in here. So all of the different techniques that I've used with slashing and dart manipulation, adding gathers, different seams, princess seams, yokes, all that fun stuff. And I've also included a couple of different rendering styles that I had. So here are more of my traditional rendering styles from costume design, and then some of my media ones as well. And then down at the bottom of every page, there's a contact me. Here's my email. You can click it and it'll bring up your email. And then here's my Instagram. Yeah, that is my website.
Hi, my name is Akeria Gant, and today I will be performing 2 pieces for you. My first piece is a song entitled Home from the Wiz, and my second piece is a monologue from the Colored Museum in which I will be portraying the character Miss Pan. Suddenly my world's gonna change its face, but I still know where I'm going. I have had my mind spun around in space, and yet I've watched it growing. Oh, if you're listening, God, please don't make it hard to know if we should believe in the things that we see. Tell us, should we run away, or should we try and stay, or would it be better just to let things be? Living here in this brand new world might be a fantasy, is Pat, and I'll be serving you here in Cabin A. We will be cruising the Atlantic at an altitude that is pretty high, so shackles must be worn at all times. To put on your shackles, take your right hand, placing the metal ring around your left hand like so. Repeat the action using your left hand to secure the right. If you have any troubles binding yourself, I'll be more than glad to assist. Once we have reached the desired altitude, the captain will turn off the fasten your shackles sign. But otherwise, shackles must be worn at all times. We also ask that you please refrain from call and response, singing in between cabins, as that sort of thing can lead to rebellion. And of course, no drums are allowed on board. Once we are airborne, I'll get by with magazines, and headphones can be purchased at the price of your firstborn male. If there's anything I can do to make this middle passage a bit more pleasant, press the overhead button and I'll be with you faster than you can say, "Go down, Moses." Thank you for flying, celebrity, and here's hoping you have a pleasant passage.
Hi, my name is Cassie Hulette, and I have two pieces for you. The first is a monologue from Time Stands Still as a character Mandy, and the second is a song from Love Labor's Lost the Musical called Love's a Gun. Thank you. They have a magazine to put out, and it has to have different things in it, not just stories about how miserable most of the world is. So they're not going to put out your story. Too bad. They've already got a bummer story running that week. I bet you worked really hard on it. I'm sorry, but what am I supposed to do with this information? Except feel bad and turn the page and think, God, I was born in the half of the world where people have food to eat. They don't go around hacking each other to death. The people that have been killing each other are always going to kill each other. And terrible things are always going to happen, so you know what I wish? There is so much beauty in the world, but you only see misery. I wish you just let yourself feel the joy. Otherwise, what's the point? Love's a cry, a bloody scene. The bodies piling up and clues galore, but who knows what they mean? Another hit, a killing spree. The killer can't stop his compulsion. He can't wipe his conscience clean. And the evidence is shaky, and the jury is asleep, and the lawyers are incompetent. The judge bribed on the cheap, and it's hard to figure out if you're the victim or the perp. Either way, you're doing time. Love's a crime.
Hi, my name is Starlynn Freeman, and I will be doing 3 pieces for you today. Jill from Unbearable Hotness by Gabrielle Davis, Girlfriend from Really by Jackie Sibley's Jury, and Deb from Ordinary Days singing Don't Want to Be Here. Ugh, you sound just like Brandon. For 2 years, I begged him to transfer here so we could be together. Oh no, he says, some of my credits won't transfer over. Then on his visit during winter break, I introduced him to Marissa. And then he transfers, which I was thrilled. But only for like 2 seconds, because every other word out of his mouth started to be, Marissa, Marissa. Last night, he was repeating her name in his sleep. Marissa, oh, Marissa. I wake him up and I'm like, what were you just dreaming about? And he's like, nothing. And I'm like, it's never gonna happen. And he's like, what's never gonna happen? So I say, if we weren't together, would you date her? And he wants to play it all casual, like, I don't know, I guess I'd be open to it. Why? Did she say something about me? And I'm like, no! Didn't I just say that it's never gonna happen? And he wants to get all offended. Never's pretty harsh. I think I'm pretty good with the ladies. And I say, Not from where I'm standing, buddy. And so he says, so are you saying you want to break up? Yeah. We broke up. I think art is important. Like, really, I do. But maybe I only think it's important because it's the thing I've come the closest to knowing how to do. But even that, I look at my work, and I look at Calvin's work, and I know that his is just better than mine. I can't not look at his photos. I don't know why, but they're just better, and people always said that his were better, and that used to make me love him more. Now, I don't know what to do with that, and I feel bad about myself, and it goes back to me thinking about myself again, and thinking about him again, looking directly at me, and not thinking about me at all. And it's not uncommon. It's not an uncommon thing to be unhappy or alone. But I look at Calvin's work, and I look at my work, and I think, at least I know that no one will remember anything of me. At least I know that. They fired me like 3 weeks later. My subway promptly, whoops, fell through. As I checked into a hotel, I said it's just as well, because I don't wanna be here. No, I don't wanna be here, and I was not a negative person, so I packed up my bags, though I had no place to go. I opened a map and said, show me my future, cause it isn't where I am. Thank you.